it's nice to know that the organizers are doing a good job keeping the social media, the momentum going. So today we're going to be talking about how social media fits into one's digital ecosystem. Because every time I hear about people who are doing, Instagram campaigns and Facebook campaigns and YouTube campaigns, Twitter campaigns, Snapchat, so on and so forth, and everybody seems to be doing standalone stuff, which is great. It works. But my question is, for how long? Because we know, and history shows, that things always work better when they're part of a bigger picture. It's like taking a bit and a piece of a small puzzle and making it fit into a larger picture that works for your business. So today we're going to take a step back, as I always do, and look at what the scenario is. We're going to look at a few components that we think are part of the digital ecosystem, and then we're hopefully going to end with a nice entertaining video for you guys. So, interesting fact, 73% of brands, they confess that they're having a hard time doing business. The market's tougher, there's a lot more competition. It's tough being in business today. Am I right? It's tough. So, first things first, today's customers are not loyal by nature. And we know that. Our parents and our grandparents used to buy one detergent for 30 years. Maybe my dad bought one pack of XYZ for 30 years. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say it or not. Cigarettes, so I'm going to say it anyway. But today, there is no brand loyalty. There's no fixed reason why somebody wants to buy a brand or buy a product from brand A versus brand B versus brand C. So somebody may buy a product from brand A because it's the cheapest. Somebody may buy a product from brand B because it's convenient. The store is just around the street. Somebody may buy it from brand C for a totally different reason. So, bottom line is, there's no loyalty. So how can marketers compete? How many people are in marketing here? By show of hands. Okay, so these are actually, was it just 2? Okay, so how many people own their own businesses here? Fantastic. All right, so question is, how can marketers compete in an environment where the product is not unique? I work at Future Communications, and 40% of our business is driven by the sales and distribution of smartphones and tablets. And as we all know, most smartphones and most tablets do pretty much the same thing. So there isn't much uniqueness in the product. So how do we compete? In the old days, there was a saying, value and price is the perfect proposition. That would convert into a sale. That was like 20 years ago, 1996, and it worked brilliantly for most people. Fast forward to 2016, it's no longer true. You may have the best best product in terms of value. You may have the best price in the market, but that doesn't mean your product is going to succeed. So, while there is no loyalty, research has shown that people they're driven towards buying a product or service if the customer experience is optimized. And I think some of the speakers before me, Jassim especially, talked about experience enhancement, customer experience enhancement. So the perfect customer experience is basically a combination of the right product, the right time, and broadcasting that message to the right person. And it's all going to make sense later. So what constitutes the digital marketing ecosystem? What's part of the digital marketing ecosystem? Lots of people will say lots of things. We're not 100% sure if this is it, but this, according to our experience, because we've done a lot of testing and trial and error, and we found out that these are the main components of the digital marketing ecosystem. Don't worry if you can't see these, because you'll see them eventually. The first is search engine marketing. Search engine marketing is divided into 2 specific sections. All right? So you have on-site, which is basically managing the content on your website. And then you have search engine optimization, which is the art of being found, the art of getting found. How do people find you online, on Google, on Yahoo, so on and so forth. And then the second part is off-site. Off-site is via links, via backlinks, via search engine advertising, Google AdWords, so on and so forth. And the difference between this and this is for marketing, you actually pay to get seen. Okay? So, the first on-site, it's very simple. This is basically what they have included here as an industry standard, but I believe that if you are here, if you're found on page 1 you're doing a fantastic job. If you're found on page 2 and 3, you're kind of doing an okay job. But if you're not found in the first 3 pages, there's something terribly wrong about your business, and you need to fix it. Because no one, believe me, no one has the patience to go beyond 3, especially in Kuwait, and everybody's in a hurry to get things done. So, second is offsite. Offsite is very simple. You pay using tools like Google AdWords and so on and so forth to get noticed, to get your product higher in rankings. Then we look at blogs and social publishing. A lot of you will say blogs are forgotten. Hind and I were just discussing it earlier. Some people got onto the blog bandwagon in 2006, 2007, 2008, including me. I blogged for about a year and then I kind of lost momentum. And this has happened to about 90% of the people. However, there are certain people who've kept that momentum going and they're reaping the benefits. What's the benefit of blogging and social publishing? Because the art of being social is not just about managing your own channels. It's not about just managing your Instagram page. It's not about just managing your Facebook page or your Snapchat. It's also about getting out there and looking what's on other people's content, what's on other people's channels. What is, this really popular blog guy, what is he saying about my brand? Is he dissing my brand or is he praising my brand? Is he saying positive things or negative things? It also gives brand owners a chance to engage and converse, have a different kind of conversation as opposed to just talking about their products on their Facebook or their Instagram. Here we're talking about going to someone else's blog or someone else's social media space on neutral territory and talking about your product. And believe me, people appreciate that way more than anything else. So that's basically what we're trying to say is be part of the conversation and engage with your customers. Engage with your prospects who may eventually become your customers. Next, we look at landing pages and email. How many of you know what landing pages are? Okay, surprisingly very few. Okay, so landing pages, okay, I'm going to take a step back. Let's say 3 years ago or 5 years ago, if you did an online advertising campaign and you clicked on a banner or a keyword, it would eventually take you to a website, correct? So that website in the old days used to be the parent product or the parent brand. So once a user got to that website, it was so overwhelming. There was a lot of video, there's a lot of content, there's a lot of product information, there's a lot of information that the guy did not need. There wasn't any straightforward product information on there. So what has developed over the last 4 or 5 years is people have started doing miniature websites that focus on specifics of that particular product. And they're called landing pages. Okay, a landing page can be a microsite or it can be a single page that demonstrates the use, the features, the benefits, and the advantages of that particular product or service. What are the key elements that you should look for while you set up a good landing page? You be straight and to the point. People don't have time to waste. Try and explain the features and benefits of your product in the briefest way possible. Try and attract them with an appealing headline, because at the end of the day, you want people, once they click and get to that page, you want them to read. You want them to watch a video. Include good images, good high-res images, include good video, interesting video content. Things that will make people remember your landing page and eventually act on it. And most importantly, a lot of people may find this really, I don't know, some people just don't do it because they think it's something that's just part of the grind that happens in the background, but they don't mention a call to action. And it's very, very important. It's very important to remind people why they're there. Because sometimes, maybe the content is so good, the guy actually forgot why he's there. So you have to remind him, buy now, download now, view now, click here to know more, check it out. So these are things that remind people that they're supposed to do whatever action they came there to do. So we covered landing page, and this is another forgotten art. Everybody seems to have forgotten emails. Sure.
Now they have the click measurements.
Yes.
On the landing pages.
Correct.
So is it active now?
Yes, there are many services that you use. It depends on how you develop your landing pages. If you develop your landing pages in-house, then you will obviously have to use tools like Google Analytics, so on and so forth. But there are many third-party tools that you can use which are really, really inexpensive and they're easy to set up. You don't have to be a developer to set them up. You can just be a regular guy who's savvy online. You know how to, if you knew how to set up, the old days GeoCities on Yahoo and stuff, you can set this up. There's tools like Optimizely and Instapage and Unbounce, and they give you a lot of options. There's a lot of tracking options, there's A/B split testing. You can have 2 different versions of a landing page and test it out and see which one is working for you. You can play with the fonts, you can have 2 different videos. You can have one landing page with a video and another one with just an image and see which one. Sometimes maybe people prefer images vis-a-vis videos. Yes, you get to see, and then you get to define what you want to consider as a conversion. If you want visitors, then visitors becomes your conversion. If you want them to download something or apply for something, then you consider that as a conversion. Good question, thank you. So the next is email. Everybody seems to have forgotten about email, and primarily, and actually the truth is most people have lost faith in email. And the reason that is because people get bombarded with emails. It becomes like, it's spam, and people hate spam. I don't want to even open an email that I didn't sign up for. The trick with email and the secret to doing it right is if you're sending out an email, make sure that person has signed up for your service. That's number 1. Number 2, make sure that person really wants the content that you're sending out to him. If it's a female customer that is interested, maybe it's a female customer, maybe you're aiming at new moms, people, women that have just had kids. You don't want to sell them motorcycle helmets, okay? You don't want to sell them anything that they're not interested in because they're just going to market you as spam. So the key is using landing pages, and this is the key. The key is using landing pages to get people to sign up for a service, and then using those email addresses that are within your database to send out emails. So that way you're sure that the emails that you're sending out are not unsolicited, and they're being sent out to people that really want to know more about your service. And again, the key to setting up a good email campaign, and there are so many other, similar to Optimizely and so on and so forth, there's so many other email distribution companies out there that you can use. They're actually more like utilities, things like MailChimp and so on, so Constant Contact. I don't know if a lot of you have heard about these or not, but they're really popular. They're very easy to use, easy to set up, and very easy to track. Trackability is extremely important. So what are the golden rules here? Again, targeted recipients, explain the benefits, okay, have an appealing headline to make sure that people will open those emails, and most importantly, include a call to action, because people seem to forget why they're there sometimes, so you need to remind them. Then we go to social media. This is the most interesting part. Yes. Is the science. So now the social media part, I'm going to cover this a little bit longer because at the end of the day we are at the Arabian Social Media Forum, so why not? 5 minutes. Wow, I need more hint because this is getting interesting. So social media, I keep saying this all the while, we'll negotiate. All the while I keep telling people, don't use social media as an outlet to sell your products. That's not why social was created. And that's not why social became that popular. Social became popular because it offered people a chance to interact with each other, to become part of one community, and then be a part of that conversation that eventually sold products. So I see that a lot of companies today, especially in Kuwait, they suffer from what some people call the me syndrome, Buy my product, buy my service. Forget about everybody else. We have the cheapest, we have the best, we have the highest quality. Nobody actually wants to talk more about their products. And so I'm going to ask you this. Why do we buy TVs? Anyone? Why do you buy a TV?
To waste time.
Yeah, but what do you do wasting time? You watch... To keep up with news, to watch films, to watch the sports, okay? Nobody in the world buys a TV to watch ads. And if he does, he's strange. Yes, exactly. But you have to apply that same methodology to social media. Nobody signs up to Instagram or Facebook to look at ads. That's something they do on the side. And that's something they do when they find something that fits their graph, that they're interested in, not something just random. It's like the pregnant lady trying to buy, not wanting to buy motorcycle helmets. So people seem to forget that. And the second most stupidest reason why they shouldn't do it is because anyway, the world is so full of advertising messages. Everywhere you go, from the time you wake up, from the time you get out of your house, you look at your bakala, there's a sign, you look at the delivery vans, there's signs there asking, there's ads asking you to buy, there's billboards, there's moopies, there's unipoles, there's building signs, there's advertising messages everywhere. So people don't really care about these. They want to see content that they like, right? So let's take a look at why people buy. There's only 2 reasons why people buy. or two reasons how people buy, I'm sorry. Two reasons how people buy. People buy either using their emotion, okay, they're emotional about a product, like I'm a big fan of tag wear, so I'm only going to buy tag wear watches, or logic. I broke my watch and I'm going to buy any watch that I can use. It doesn't matter what it is. There's two ways this can go. So then we talk about why customers leave brands. Because everybody focuses on converting new customers. Nobody talks about keeping your existing customers happy. Exactly. Retention costs people more than actually acquiring a customer. Sorry. Getting a customer costs people more than retaining a customer. It's much more cheaper for companies to retain customers than getting new ones. So why do people leave a brand? First reason, there are many reasons, but I thought we'd talk about four. The first reason is he or she may be influenced by family or friend. You know, a friend will come to you and say, and he's a close friend, and he'll say, listen, I don't think this is good, you should buy this white product. And you're like, okay, fine, I know this guy for a while, so you listen to him. A lot of people do this. Second is, you had a bad customer experience, either online or offline. You went to the store clerk was really rude, or he or she was uninformative, they didn't give you the right kind of product information. The third reason is, they just got attracted by competition. They found a competing product and they went and bought it, you know. I don't care about the phones. Oh, I just went to brand A and I bought it because I don't really care about that. Maybe they did a nice advertising campaign that appealed to you. And the fourth reason is indifference by a brand. What is indifference? Indifference is basically how we say locally, kefi. You know, I don't care if the guy is with me, or I don't care if he buys, I don't care if he doesn't buy. It's his wish. Most market leaders adopt this approach. Not very successful, but eventually they fall. So then we're looking at this guy. Anyone knows who he is? Hind knows, because she was part of the team that brought him to Kuwait way back in 2011. Sorry? He's a social media celebrity. He's basically a superstar. All right. I look up to the guy because a lot of what he says makes sense. And honestly, I love his presentations because they're really cool. So what he says is there is no sale without the story. And what I've always believed since I started as a marketer is marketing has always been about storytelling. It's always about storytelling. People seem to forget. It's about how you tell the story. I don't want people to buy the watch because it's cheap. Or I shouldn't want people to buy the watch because it's cheap or it looks great. I want people to buy the watch because this watch, when I went to the desert camp 6 months ago, I got lost and I was alone and I didn't know how to navigate. So I used the compass to find my way back to civilization. That's the story. Had I not come back, I would have probably died of dehydration. That's the story. People like that kind of story. People don't like to be sold to. And that's what brands seem to be forgetting. They don't focus on telling a story. They don't focus on the guys here. Are you familiar with boxing? When you're boxing, you want to try and position your opponent in a way that is weakest. So you don't want him to be in a corner. You want him to be in the weakest part of the ring. So what you do is you use small punches. You use punches and jabs. And then when he's in the right position for you to strike, that's when you go woof, with the big right hook. And that's where you strike. So you have to have a setup. You have to set it up. And how do you set it up? Social gives you the perfect platform to set up your customer. Last but interesting approach that I always tell my clients and stuff, imagine you have to make your customers fall in love with you. I'm assuming there are a lot of married people here. All the married people, raise your hands. Right? Lots of married people. Fantastic. Not lots, but lots of people in love, right? So when this is addressed to the married people. When you first saw your wife, your husband, what was your reaction the first time you saw him or her? Did you just go up to her and say, hey, I'm the best guy in the world, marry me? An idiot would do that. What normal people do is they go and they introduce themselves, try to get to know him or her, go out for a cup of coffee, spend some time on the telephone, go out to dinner, and then once you're comfortable, then you say, okay, I love you, would you be my wife or my husband or whatever? You have to set up, and you have to make that person, in this case, you have to make your customers fall in love with you. Give them free information. Doesn't matter. A lot of people say, I don't want to give away free stuff. If you can afford it, give away free stuff, especially information. Content should not be something that you should charge for. Content should be free, because interesting content sells itself, and it eventually will help sell your business. So it's kind of like a cocktail party. When you go to a cocktail party, you don't just go out and sell. You mingle and you introduce yourself. You tell people interesting, funny vacation stories. Oh, by the way, you should buy this car. My kid goes to this school. You should try it out. And this is how you become friends, and eventually you crack the deal. You get the business. So this is kind of like social media. It's kind of like a big cocktail party. So what are the key elements that we would consider for businesses to consider conversions? Conversation, one of the most important things, especially within the social space. Conversations within a community, and conversations within a community to create new networks. And eventually what happens is you get conversions. And those conversions can be whatever you want them to be. Downloading your new app, or actually selling a phone, or selling a product, or selling a service, winning a new contract, it can be whatever. So any old-fashioned, old-seasoned marketers here will remember ADA. It's like what I learned way back. I won't tell you the year because then you'll figure out how old I am. First was attention. To sell, you needed to get people's attention. You need to get their interest. You need to create some kind of desire to buy that product. And then eventually you would have a call to action for you to make them buy your product. Well, this is a slightly new and improved, modified ADA. There's engagement. Because now people have these tools to communicate directly with brands. Before, if you had a bad experience, you would have to call customer service and you wouldn't know if your message is going across to the higher management. Here on social, you can actually communicate directly with the brand. And how the brand communicates back with customers or with users, this depends largely on how efficient they are, and this eventually ends up in creating successful social brands. So engagement, very important. Right? So fine. Then second last, mobile. I see a lot of you on your mobile, so I'm going to ask you, you have a lot of interesting success stories, some of them even local. Talabat, I had to pick the first one, the most obvious one. So now different facets of our lives are connected via the mobile phone. You have food, you have payment, you have Uber, you have Kuwait Taxi, which is a newly launched app actually, I just found out a couple of weeks ago. You can book your hotels online, either Airbnb, hotels.com. You can consume video content via YouTube, Netflix, and by the way, as of today, I think Amazon is launching a new video service similar to YouTube, but it's only going to be available in select countries. So it'll be interesting to see how that performs in competition to YouTube. So and then you have news, you have Jarida, you have Nabd, you have a lot of these applications that you can consume news with. So mobiles, and this is what I was actually trying to get at. This is a very interesting statistic. And I'm sure this is 99% true. Like 30% of 18 to 24-year-olds, I don't know how many 18 to 24-year-olds are here. Okay, so they've checked their mobile phones in the last 5 minutes. 55% of them have checked their phones in the last 15 minutes. I do that sometimes. Actually, I'm in this category. 49% of overall mobile users they feel the need to check their phones every 30 minutes, do I have a signal? Does this work? Doesn't anybody want to communicate with me anymore? So you keep looking. Yes. Yeah, we'll quadruple this. We'll quadruple this for the next statistics. So people are obsessed with mobile, okay, but most of the time, and this is a very, very funny thing, some of the biggest brands in Kuwait, most of them are kind of doing this, but some of them do not have mobile optimized websites. It's really sad because I go to them sometimes and I'm like, I don't want to pinch to zoom and pinch out and then move left and move right. I have only this much real estate on my screen. And I want to have everything that's optimized, and I want to see everything that I want to see at one time. So this is one of the, and the funny thing is some of these companies do online campaigns and use these non-responsive websites as landing pages, which is it's the worst thing you can ever do, and don't spend your money if you're going to spend it that way, just give it to me. So optimize your page so that it fits, and do testing on different kinds of browsers and tablets to make sure it works. And use something called, I think Khalid, the first speaker for today, he said real-time marketing. And real-time marketing is kind of more or less programmatic. Programmatic marketing is basically marketing based on specific criteria. And this is something that we've been relatively successful at within Future, because we started with a campaign last year that failed miserably, and we were new and we were trying. So what we did was we tweaked it. We added different elements. We tried it with email. We tried it with landing pages. We tried different ways to convert. We tried tweaking the demographics. And I think another one of the speakers earlier talked about war room, war rooms, setting up rooms similar to war rooms so you can manage or you can monitor what's going on. And this is what actually the big brands in the US do. Actually, yes, you're right. Coca-Cola and even, I think, Gillette. Yeah. And what they do is, in the old days, they used to do it in the Cold War. You launch a missile, and then you just see how far that missile's going, and everybody's gathered around the room. And when it was applied to marketing in the old days, it would happen over weeks. Maybe it would take you a week or 10 days to get the results. But with online, with digital, it's instant. So now, the moment you launch a campaign, within an hour, you can log in to your dashboard and you can figure out how your campaign is performing. And this is what we did. We used programmatic marketing to tweak and to retweak to make sure that our campaign was optimized to the best possible way so that we hit the right kind of target. And we could actually see an increase. So we did campaign A, day 1, we got a certain reach. Then we did day 2, day 3, and every time we tweaked and tweaked and tweaked, we got better performance. And these are the criteria. You can do it based on location, based on your sex, based on interests and behaviors. This is actually extremely interesting because it gives you it gives you roundabout ways of getting your target without going directly. And then of course, time bound and language, so on. Then we talk about, finally, when it comes to mobile, this used to be the old, the 4 Ps of marketing, which used to be product, price, place, promotion. Just fair enough for a standalone product. But in 2016, in the age of digital marketing, this kind of does not apply. These, according to the Mobile Marketing Association, these are the new 4 Ps of marketing. Because they're not just product, price, place, and promotion. They're basically portability. So now your message, the marketing message that you receive, is not dependent on whether you see a bus on the street or whether you see an ad in a magazine when you're in your house. It can be seen anywhere through your mobile phone. So it's portability, it's proximity. You can actually do campaigns that are targeted only to people in Fahil, and just because your product is based in Fahil. You don't need to sell to people in Kuwait City or in Jahra for that matter. Preferences, these are all preference based. We talked earlier about getting people's preference. If somebody does not sign up to a product or service, he or she is not going to buy your product. So don't waste your dollars or your dinars targeting that prospect. Spend your money targeting people that want to buy your product. And finally, presence, which kind of works in the same way as proximity. Okay. So finally, this is Jasim's favorite topic, ECRM. Okay. So everybody that I know in large companies has CRMs. But I'm not sure if everybody uses them the right way. Because there's so much, especially with the kind of social interaction that you get and your ability to measure social graphs, there's so much data that you have that people they just don't look into. So why have ECRM and why invest in it? And again, you don't have to invest $1 million in a CRM with lots of bells and whistles and lots of graphs that you're never going to use. You need to use something that fits your business, depending on how large and how small it is and depending on your requirements. So what ECRM does is it gives you simple things, simple information, like how much money a customer spent in your retail outlet or in your establishment. When you tag it with mobile and use location, then you can figure out where your customers are coming from, especially in a retail environment. Are my customers coming from the south of Kuwait? Are they coming from Kuwait City? Are they coming from Jahra? Are they coming from the suburban areas? And then are they coming from the co-ops? You can actually do this geotargeting. You can actually do social sharing. You can monitor once a customer buys my product or service, how is he sharing it? Is he sharing it on Facebook? And how many connections on Facebook are viewing that post and replying and commenting? So we talked about all these elements of digital marketing, but one thing that everybody seems to forget, and I'm going to share with you a video now, it was developed by this company called PhD, and they talk about targeting the new age customers. Okay, so the customer demographic has changed. This was the older graph. This is basically most of us, I guess it's most of us, we fit into this graph. This is the way we consumed media. There was a way that we watched television, we went to the gym, some of us. We went to work with a briefcase and we had a separate camera. We used to read physical newspapers. Okay, some of us still do. But this is the customer of the future. They're connected 24 hours. Right? They're into gaming. They shop on their mobile phones. They consume content via laptops on YouTube. They don't consume television, regular television. Even regular television for these people is consumed via their mobiles and tablets. And they have so many ideas. See, young people of today just are so full of ideas. They have ideas flying out left, right, and center. So this is basically the target audience that we should be preparing for. We should be preparing for a world that is ready, that marketers can actually get all this information and target people specifically based on what they want, based on what they need, based on their behavior. And on that note,
if you work in marketing, you better start upping your game.
Because you haven't seen anything like us yet.
In just 10 years from now, we'll be buying and influencing buying
in ways that will confound you.
We won't just watch your ads, we'll expect smart, tailored content based on our social graphs.
Tailored for me.
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 And me.
We want to interact with it as we watch it, not just with touch,
But with voice, with gesture.
With intent. You better embed everything that is featured with additional information, social APIs, and e-commerce functionality.
And we mean everything.
everything.
Everything. The car,
The skirt,
the hotel,
the app.
Because we expect to double tap on anything to get more information.
Don't worry. You'll offset the cost by on-selling any leads to those data aggregator type companies.
We'll spread it through our networks.
And co-create with you.
and when we do buy, there are normally more of us than there are of you.
We can change your business
In one trade.
As long as the deal is on.
Augmented reality.
Will be the new reality.
AR apps will almost function like special skills to help us navigate reality more effectively.
You wait and see what the iPhone of 2021 looks like. The clue is in the name.
And you better get used to paying us.
Our browsing, influencing, and purchasing data.
We'll make some of us pretty rich.
But don't overstep the mark, otherwise we'll block you.
Mass blocks kill brands overnight and keep you up all night. So if you work in marketing,
You better start upping your game. Because you haven't seen anything like us yet.
this is PhD, which is one of the it used to be another agency and they rebranded to PhD. All right, thank you very much, everyone.